Welcome back to the best comic book related podcast on YouTube and the interwebs. Hopefully everybody's had a terrific week. Obviously, I had a terrific week. It was my 43rd birthday this week. We also learned that my wife and I are going to be expecting our third boy in June. So we were kind of hoping that maybe we'd get a little girl, but we are going to have three boys, so my house will be even more lively than it was before coming this summer, so that should be very interesting. But we also had a lot of pretty interesting comic book news to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the Linearverse. What an introduction, what an idea from DC Comics. We'll also be talking about the Nubia Real One YA graphic novel. Nick Spencer continuing to tease fans that his may fix one more day. The new Superman reboot from J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates. The Stan Lee hit piece book that's coming out, not in the not too distant future. We'll also talk about Future State now that it's finally over, and maybe a couple other topics. I hope everyone's ready to talk about some nerd stuff, ready to talk about comic books. Now, Fatal J is supposed to be here, but true to form, he is a little bit late, so I imagine he'll show up in time. But right now, we do have a terrific panel for you. Starting up first, we've got an independent writer, independent editor, award-winning editor, about to have a Backstar coming out here in a couple months from Mad Cave Studios. Joe Corallo, how you doing?
I'm all right, Wes. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. How's everything on the Mad Cave front? Are you ready for this big launch?
I would say I'm pretty ready. I was working on the script for issue 5 last night. I finished the panel breakdown, so I think things are looking pretty good.
That is very exciting stuff. Also with us is comic book retailer from Berkeley, California, the proprietor of Fantastic Comics. He's about to do a heel turn on the whole entire comic book industry. Yul Carter, how you doing?
I am wonderful. Thanks for having me on as one of three boys. Way to go, Wes.
Absolutely. I told my wife before we got married, I was like, are you sure? I was like, my father or my grandfather has 5 brothers. My father has 4 brothers, and I have 3 brothers. You might be, pot committed to having only boys at this point. She's like, what are the odds?
Apparently very good.
Currently.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I want to say right off the bat, thank you very much to Kenneth Dowling for supporting the channel. Belated happy birthday, Wes. Hope it was fun. Hey, guys. Hope you all been well. Let's talk about comics. Thank you very much, Kenneth Dowling. I did have a very wonderful birthday. We had a nice big family dinner. Hadn't done that in well over a year because of the pandemic and all those things, but we were able to get out and had a very nice time. So thank you very much, Kenneth. Next up, we've got Pele, comic book retailer from Tennessee. How you doing, Pele?
I'm salty as normal. It's Saturday morning, and it's raining like hell. But you get to talk about comics, so that's not too bad.
Absolutely. And last but not least is the co-host of the Comics Aficionados, the X-Men historian, the Marvel aficionado himself. How you doing, Doc?
I am spectacular, sir. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to co-host and happy to talk about a bunch of nerd shit for a couple hours.
Absolutely. We've got some great viewers already with us. We've got Chris from Comics Exposed, a friend of the channel. He's been on the Comics Aficionados many times. Lawn Gnome's not going to be able to make it. I imagine he'll be watching it later. Marvel 2099. Who else? We got Jamie Andreasen. You murdered that guy straight from Canada.
Ooh.
Tevius Smolka. Love to see him in here. Trey Michael. Kenise. Who else we got? Doomed, huh? Jeff Stout. Soon to be a member of the comic book YouTube community. So that should be very exciting. Ivan Cruz. Joe Cool. Obviously, Kenneth Dowling, Funny Business, another retailer. So thank you all for joining us. FF2, longtime viewer of the channel. Let's get right into some of these topics. The first one we're going to talk about is, I don't know, you're a comic book retailer, right?
Yep.
I imagine you have a lot of customers coming in, and they go, you know what? There's a lot of things I can forgive DC Comics for. You've got heroes flying, you know, people traveling back in time and everything. But this idea that Bruce Wayne hasn't really aged over the last 80 years is a bridge too far for me to buy into your comic book universe. Why do they age so slow? And DC has the answer for you, sir. It's the Linearverse. What did you think about this?
I'm very happy they finally explained it. When I start thinking about all the stories that characters like Batman and Superman and Spider-Man have had over 50 years, it really calls into question how that's able to happen. Especially, well, I always in Marvel I look at Peter Parker and I look at Franklin Richards and how one ages and one doesn't, and one gets old sometimes and then is shoved back into being a kid. But Peter Parker's graduating college, he's getting married, he's owning a company, he's getting there. So yeah, I'm very happy that this is happening.
Well, Franklin can be pretty much as old as he wants to be.
Sure thing. Yeah. I mean, I'm just all right, Valeria or Valerie or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
The young one, the girl.
Yeah.
Valeria.
Yeah, thank you. So that's what I don't know. It's silly. It does sometimes I am being serious though. Sometimes when you're looking at these IPs and the long ass stories that they've had over the years, it can sort of stretch your comic book fan their believability on what they're reading. I mean, it's a superhero. What's so believable about it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but so like this is answering a question that doesn't need to be answered, and I'm just excited for Golden Age Superman. Yay!
So I know if you've been watching Comics by Perch, obviously he's a friend of the channel. Joe Corallo found this news out real time, and you got to see what his reaction to it was. It was befuddlement. Is basically what I could discern from that. Joe, you've had a few days to sleep on this, to really think about the Linearverse and how key it is to the future of DC Comics. Has your tone and your views of the Linearverse changed over time?
It doesn't make more sense since I first heard about it. I also just want to let people know who are listening, who might have been concerned during that video. I do know how James Bond works. It was a joke. In the future, if someone rattles off every actor that's played James Bond in a movie, they've probably seen a few James Bond movies. So just throw that out there. But
did you say Lazenby too? I can't remember.
I did say Lazenby.
Okay,
I said him after Roger Moore. That's a flub on my end, but don't worry about it, people. It's okay. So yeah, it's like, to me, I hate this, and I hate this for a lot of reasons. But I mean, some of those reasons are, I've never met, you can talk to people about all sorts of, Superman, Batman stories, things like that. I personally hate how people tend to go for these one and dones, and people are like, oh, you want a good Superman story, read, For All Seasons or Birthright or, stuff like that. And while I do enjoy a lot of those stories, I hate that people don't recommend runs anymore. It's too much effort. But I've never met someone who you're like, oh, you want to get started with Batman. How about the Dark Knight Returns, which I guess takes place now during the same time as Legion of Superheroes for Batman to be that old in the Linearverse. But I've never talked to someone about that and they were like, look, I'm not going to read this unless I have a really good idea of exactly when this should happen in the DC universe. People don't think like this. People don't go hold off on For All Seasons, all right, buddy? If this, when does this take place? Does this take place here or there? People don't care about that. When they care about good stories. They want good stories, and I've had this conversation too with people who work at Marvel on their end, because they also do the same kind of crazy things. And there's sliding scale continuity where it's the Dark Phoenix saga took place 8 years ago, even though everyone's wearing bell bottoms. I hate that stuff. It's just tell the story. No one cares about it like that. If you want to tell a Golden Age Superman story, go ahead and do it. Didn't they just do Superman Smashes the Klan, which did not, I believe, take place in 2020? And no one was like, geez, they better come up with some sort of other universe for me to understand how this fits in the giant jigsaw puzzle of DC.
Well,
No.
you're forgetting who works at DC right now. They think that the Klan is actually still running around.
Yeah,
In
they,
large
think, they think there's
numbers.
still millions of members of the Klan everywhere. So
There's 9 and 8 of them are FBI agents. They just don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just like it's just stuff like that, where it's like don't overthink it. Whenever they add more layers to these things, it's pushing people away. It's not bringing them in. It's like you can't keep adding. Like they think like, oh, let's make it more accessible by over explaining. It's like it's DC is that person who like makes a mistake and says they're sorry, and then you go like, oh no, it's okay, and they won't stop apologizing. It doesn't make it better. It just makes it awkward for everyone. This is what these kind of fixes feel like.
Yeah,
just tell good stories.
I think what it is a lot of what DC's been doing, and they've been obsessed with this for what 35 years now, fixing a problem that's not really a problem. I mean, there's a handful of people that are going to complain about it. If you think about it way too hard, yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at it just on a surface level, it for the most part, it's not a big deal. And most people don't really care.
Yeah. No, they want a good story.
I mean, has anybody ever really complained that, well, I mean, other than your most hardcore comic nerds, well, that if we do this and then it contradicts this one random issue of Action Comics from 1967, and therefore it unmakes the entire universe. What?
Yeah.
What? No,
Okay,
nobody
Francis.
cares. Yeah. Exactly. Nobody gives a shit.
Yes.
I don't know, Doc. Are you ready for Marvel to institute the Linearverse?
I mean,
Which apparently operates within the Omniverse, but the entire Omniverse doesn't play by the Linearverse rules. There are only some stories within the Linearverse. So you might be reading a Linearverse story. You might not be reading a Linearverse story at DC. You just don't know.
well, I mean, Marvel already kind of has a Linearverse with their sliding timeline. It's not really all that. This is basically, once again, as we've been seeing DC do for the last few, maybe year, they're just copying Marvel's homework. And while Marvel tries to become DC with a bunch of legacy characters and, well, the upcoming Heroes Reborn, DC is trying to become Marvel with a sliding timeline and this and that. And just stop. Be what you are. No, so the thing that'll, I mean, Marvel already tried to do they did Crisis on Infinite Earths whenever they did Secret Wars. So DC doing Marvel sliding timeline, not very shocking. They're just copying each other's homework.
So apparently,
Yeah, it
I
sounds
thought
like
the end of Dark Knight's death metal and the inclusion of the Omniverse was supposed to make everything less confusing. I feel more confused about what the hell is going on with DC Comics.
It feels more like, they're trying to copy what Chip Zdarsky did, and with his
Life story.
awesome life story Spider-Man, and
More to come, by the way.
yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to Fantastic Four and that.
But it's not Chip.
I know, but I'm still looking forward to it. I'm hoping it'll.
Mark Russell.
I know.
I'm
I'm still looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
It's Mark Russell.
Yeah, you can't scare me away.
Doc is so predisposed to hating things, and it's like
I'm a big Mark Russell fan, actually. But
I
I know
recognize.
I'm in the minority.
I'm sorry. Whenever I see a trefoil logo on a door, I know not to open it. That's the same thing as seeing Mark Russell's name on the cover of a comic book. Because the only thing you're going to get by opening that door or that cover is cancer.
okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got it now. I'm not joking about cancer, by the way.
No, I am. Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry about that. Yeah, life story Pele.
Yep, awesome stuff. He was so good. Spider-Man.
Well, this is like the antithesis of Life Story. Life Story is telling the story of Spider-Man as the ages progress, and this is basically saying that the characters are evergreen and explaining why they never age.
Yeah.
Right?
Is it? I thought it was more like trying to rehash. It's kind of like I don't know.
It is different. You're right, Wes, but in the same, it's sort of the same in a way. I mean, it's still playing with continuity, and is it really something that needs to be done? But it can work, and if it's good, everybody's going to be screaming about the Linearverse, and I'm going to find out that the first issues are going to be really expensive, et cetera, et cetera.
So I do want to say thank you very much to Kenneth Dowling for supporting the channel. He has to say, honestly, don't see the issue with this. I know these heroes get revamped every 5 to 10 years with different writers. Like Joe says, just tell your story and don't sweat it. That should be the big takeaway from this, right, Joe?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But you were just about to
No. You're right. Keep going.
No, but exactly. I do wish that more runs got to be 5 or 10 years. That'd be nice. But But yeah, hopefully we'll eventually see some more stuff like that with at least some characters. You don't want every character at once being locked in for 10 years and then being like, oh no, I hope I like where everything's going. But it'd be nice to have like some consistency and that with some of these books. Although with the amount they double ship stuff like that, Nick Spencer's effectively been on Spider-Man for 5 years, even though he just started in 2018. So there's that.
Ridiculous that they do that. That's one of my biggest pet peeves of the industry is that stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to Kenneth Dowling for supporting the channel with the super chat. Now, Joe, how long do you think it is before DC does away with the Linearverse?
I don't know.
If they try to solve these problems, eventually they figure out they probably just caused more problems than they try to solve, and they try to undo. I give it 2 years max.
Yeah, I feel like they're more inclined, and I feel this is like the big two just in general. It's not. They'll never officially end it. They'll just stop talking about it and not comment on it anymore, and just act like it never happened. And that's probably what's going to happen with the Linearverse. People just aren't going to do things in it, and then it'll be, whatever. And that's that.
They'll just be Black Label or whatever.
Yeah, until the Vertigo 30th anniversary, where suddenly they'll act like they care about Vertigo again, so that way they can sell you a $9.99 anthology Vertigo book and then shell Vertigo again in time for the Black Label 5th anniversary anthology book.
These anniversaries come faster and faster.
Oh yeah, you can get one every year if you do it right. So.
Well, certainly it seems to be one of the things that Marvel tries to do is make up a lot of fake anniversary, but obviously that's a topic for another day.
Sure.
I don't know, Doc. How long do you think DC commits to the Linearverse? I think, like Joe was saying, they probably just forget about it in a couple of weeks.
I'm leaning towards what Joe said. Yeah, they're just going to forget about it in a couple of weeks. Like, everybody's going to realize, I don't really want to write anything in this, so I'm just going to kind of do my, like, in the regular Omniverse. And if nobody puts anything, I mean, it's like having a box that nobody decides to put anything in. That's all it is. I mean, all the different Omniverses, multiverses, Linearverse, they're all boxes that you can stick stories in. If nobody decides to stick any stories in the Linearverse, then it doesn't really matter.
So we do have another super chat from You Murder That Guy from north of the border, $5 Canadian, which yet to be published book is most likely to become a 3-year plus run, big to an ending. I know I have a feeling. I have a good feeling that Tom Taylor's probably going to be on Nightwing for quite a while now that he's kind of taken over the book. Obviously, Nightwing's not getting rebooted to a #1, but he is taking over. I'm hoping that he'll have a nice long run on that one. Joe, is Beckstar going to be a 3-year run for you?
It will be. It will be if enough people order it. Go pre-order it through your local comic shop. However, I do think, like, there's things I hope for. Like I'd like another nice long run on Superman if we can get that with, Philip Kennedy Johnson. And I'm a big Swamp Thing fan, and I love Ram V, so
That's a
I
good
would
call.
more than welcome 3 years of Ram V on Swamp Thing. Maybe I'll regret it. Maybe I'll get 6 issues in and be like, this could wrap up soon. But hopefully not. Hopefully it's amazing, and that would be great. I'm trying to think, like, what else? What else?
Oh, you got an answer for that one, Yule? Uh-oh, he's muted.
Oh,
Typing.
somebody.
I'm ordering Backstar. I'm going back to typing.
Oh, sorry. Good job. Good on you, Yule. What about you, Doc? Is there a book that hasn't come out yet that you were thinking is going to maybe get like a 3-year run that will be good for you?
Honestly, no. No. I mean, no. Seriously, I can't think of anything that's come that isn't already out.
Like X-Men Legends is only 1 issue in, but I think we're all hoping that's 3 years.
Yeah, but it's not going to be a run because it's different artists and writers like every 3rd issue.
Right.
So I don't really consider that a run. I'm talking. I don't know. I don't have any faith that any of the stuff that's been announced but hasn't been released yet is going to keep a schedule.
I'm looking at the order book,
team.
Doc, and it's like everything is a mini series now.
Yeah.
And if it's not a mini series that's connecting to another mini series, like kind of like a Mark Miller book.
Yeah, like where he has seasons.
My most exciting, all the things I'm excited about are like 5 or 6 issue miniseries. There's a Guillaume March book that's in Noctera. Well, I don't know if that's an ongoing, but there's that Carmen book, the Beta Ray Bill book I'm really looking forward to. All the DC stuff is 5 or 6 issue miniseries, basically.
Yeah.
10 issues for the Ram V Swamp Thing, but maybe it's going to go on longer. So
I just can't help
write
but
those
feel
letters to their letter columns.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I just can't help but feel that the times of those long runs like that are, really involving and, draw you in or a thing of the past. It's just.
I think they're going to be on the indie scene mostly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We have people doing their own creator own work.
Let's be honest.
But those are always going to be finite for the most part.
Well, I mean, you could get another like Invincible or Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I don't even see any of, as it stands right now, any of like the upcoming Spawnverse stuff. I don't see that having a lot of having a lot of staying power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Todd's a hype man.
He is.
He's just trying to grow his thing a little bit bigger so that he has content out there. I think that's the key to everything these days is content. Whether it's TV or a streaming network or a comic book company. And Skip and Tosh, that might just mean getting that stuff out there more than quality or even continuity.
So I have been hearing good things about Todd McFarlane's Spawnverse. I can't really talk about it yet, but I do want to welcome Fatal J to the channel, being fashionably late, the last to the ball. I appreciate you making it, buddy.
I'm glad to be here, sir. And you know what? I want to tell you something. 3 years, it lasts that long in comics, I guarantee you it's going to suck. Nothing past 10 issues is going to be quality. Let's just keep it real. Let's
You're
just
not
keep it
reading
real.
Daredevil at all, sir.
No, you're not.
Okay, I mean, okay, but that's the small exception. Name 10 comics off the rip that lasted 3 years that
Well,
was
I think that
just
was the point of
all the way
murder
through.
that guy's question. Was it?
Well, I'm
what's
sorry.
the exception word?
I understand that was a perfectly good question, but I'm telling you guys, don't nothing last longer than a year. That's quality.
Amazing Spider-Man's been pretty good. I mean, it has a couple of misses, and there was like about a 5-issue section where it got all crossover happy.
Well, maybe the qualifier to what Fatal J is saying is not the icon characters, so not your Trinity at DC.
Yes.
Not Spider-Man, not Avengers, not Captain America and X-Men.
Yes.
Or something like that.
They're
Fantastic.
not going to take care of the Rudy Poo characters now. I can understand that for the big characters for the companies, but not the Rudy Poo characters.
But the thing is, Spider-Woman was never going to be a long-running series, and I'm just counting the days for it to actually end and then get restarted.
All right, guys. So we do have a super chat from a good friend of the channel, Skip and Tosh. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Is continuity more important or quality of story? Fatal J, you just showed up. I want you to answer that. Which one do you think is more important? Having continuity within the story or just the quality of the story?
Freaking quality all day, every day. I could give a freak about continuity.
So when your comic book comes out, it's not going to have continuity. It's just going to have quality all over it, right?
It's going to be quality, sir. And thank you for the shameless plug because I really appreciate it.
What is the name of that comic book again? Is it Ninja?
It's
Blast?
called Ninja Blast.
I knew it.
Because there's gonna be so much ninja in there, it's gonna be like a blast, an explosion. Thank you for the.
Is this going to be crowdfunded, or are you going to do the
Yes.
diamond? Okay.
It's gonna be crowdfunded because Fatal J is broke and has no money.
All right.
And
I want you to know that the retailer tier is supposed to be cheaper than buying 5 different copies of the same thing everybody else is doing. Just to let you know.
Got you.
All right. Very good.
And we are going to talk a little bit about Fatal J's upcoming crowdfunding project later in the show. Thank you so much to Skip and Tosh for supporting the channel. Thank you for Fatal J for answering that. Is there anything anybody else has to say about DC's Linearverse before we move on to the next topic?
Good luck to it.
I wanted to answer Skip's question though. Quality without any continuity is pointless though. If you don't have internal consistency, it actually ruins your quality.
Yeah, but there's been Batman Confidential, Legends of the Dark Knight, Spider-Man stories. I'm sure that I can't. Oh, Tangled Webs. Those are out of continuity stories that are quality. And you don't need to know any of that other stuff going into the story. It's just a Batman story. It's a Spider-Man story. Justice League.
I'm talking not out of continuity stuff. I'm talking about stuff
that's
in continuity that just flat out ignores it.
Yeah, but these are like evergreen stories that don't have anything to do with the Joker War. You know what I mean? That's what I think that's the continuity that I'm really. I mean, obviously, you want to tell a story about the same Peter Parker, you know.
I'm talking about a run on, say, ASM or Uncanny X-Men that just straight up ignores shit that is established continuity. It doesn't matter how great it is. If it shits on the existing, continuity of the same book, you're essentially ruining your internal continuity, and that damages the quality.
Right. So, well, yeah. So, like in the main title, continuity is probably equal to quality.
Yeah,
often. But there's other avenues to read those these characters without having to worry about continuity. That can be quality.
Yeah, like out of continuity, random stuff. That's fine. Whatever.
But, I mean, it makes up most of the comic books that are out there these days, especially if you think of a miniseries as just kind of like a thing that they're throwing out. Like all that Shang-Chi stuff, is anything that's going on in there going to like affect the Marvel universe in any way that I have to pay attention?
Probably not.
So maybe like peripheral characters, Doctor Strange, a few things like that, because they've always kind of been tied at the hip with the mystical characters. But
I mean, I got to admit, I didn't know he worked with S.H.I.E.L.D., but I don't really read Shang-Chi that much.
All right, back on topic. Bam!
Yes, let's get back on topic, guys. So we do have another super chat. Thank you so much to Skip and Tosh from Kenneth Dowling.
You see how Fatal J just segue there for West?
Comics are 3 years or more. Claremont had a 17-year run, sir, and Roger Stern Spider-Man.
Hey,
in your face.
Kenneth, you're right. The great Chris Claremont did that. I respect that, but that doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen all the time. It just doesn't. But shout out to Chris Claremont. Please come back.
Absolutely. And shout out to Kenneth Allen. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. We've got another super chat. So with next week starting with DC Infinite Frontier, what comics are you most interested in? Which ones are Are you dreading? Anyone reading Marvel Alien? Absolutely. I am going to be reading Marvel Alien. Phil Kennedy Johnson, I think, is going to knock that one out of the park. It's one of the comics I'm most looking forward to. Let's ship it over to you, Fatal J. Is there anything in DC Infinite Frontier that you're really looking forward to?
No, sir. But I will tell you this. I've been reading DC, and I ain't trying to get off topic because I know you is West. You like a pit bull when it comes to getting off topic. But I've been reading Deceased.
Deceased.
That is a dope, amazing comic book. How long ago did that come out?
Last year.
The sequel just ended like last
It
week.
was
That
2018, I think, is when it started.
Oh my gosh, that book is amazing. They need to turn that into a live action movie. But DC Infinite Frontier, nothing floats my boat.
All right, Joe, what are you looking forward to? Is there one that you're just looking forward to, or that you think is it's going to be bad?
I'm not that excited about any of this. That could change. It's probably going to change based on seeing what some people are saying. I wasn't excited about Future State, and I ended up at least kind of liking a bunch of stuff. And I do think that with Future State, I was I'm not saying it's 100% right, but I do think that saying like we gotta wait. Mariko Tamaki was doing pretty good on Wonder Woman. Dark Detective's probably not going to be that bad, and it turned out it was far from the worst Future State book. I think, at least. So I'm interested to see what's happening. Is the Joker book coming out as part of that? Or
Yes.
Is that because I'm definitely very not excited about that one.
You're not ready for the future adventures of Punchline?
No. I really oh god, I can't. But like you said, also Alien. I like a bunch of the Dark Horse stuff, so and I like the Alien franchise. That could be fun over at Marvel. What was it? I found my copy of Alien vs. Green Lantern that I gotta reread before that. Like that'll be a fun time. So yeah, I think there's probably going to be a few things that are going to end up being interesting, and I'll probably wait to see what people say about some of the new the Infinite Frontier stuff, and kind of go from there.
All right, how about you, Yule? Is there anything you're really looking forward to or dreading?
I'm looking forward to Superman, being able to read that again, hopefully. There's going to be that Red and Blue series, Superman. Michelle Fife is going to do an issue. Looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Beta Ray Bill, Daniel Warren Johnson.
Mhm.
Really looking forward to that.
That's not Infinite Frontier, sir. That's Marvel.
Well, it says, or reading Marvel Alien, so I'm just continuing on. Beta Ray Bill is going to be awesome, and if he doesn't get you got to sign him up right now, Warren Johnson, to do Beta Ray versus Aliens. That'd be sweet. Those are the things I'm really looking forward to. The Superman. Let's go. Give me a good one, please.
All right, Paley, is your dad ready to start reading Superman again?
He's already started back. As soon as he heard Bendis was leaving, he's like, I'm in. So even now he is back into the fold. So personally, I don't know. Green Lantern, maybe Green Lantern.
It's going to be good. I think Swamp Thing is going to be good.
Yeah.
Robin, Nightwing, those are the kind of ones that I'm really
Swamp Thing
anticipating.
especially. I love, just whatever they had just go with it. That's what the present state should be, not the future state.
Sure.
Just go with it. Kick ass.
Teen Titans Academy and Suicide Squad are the two that I think, after reading the Future State books, I think they're going to be bad. What were you going to say there, Fatal J?
No, I got a question on DC Infinite Frontier. Is they doing something with Steel from Superman? They doing something with him?
He was in Generations Shattered and Forged, but other than that, I haven't heard anything about Steel.
Oh, okay, so he's not getting his own book. I would have been interested in that because the Shaquille O'Neal movie was the best movie I ever seen in my life. What?
Wait, Fatal J, you talk about movies on your channel?
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure. Okay, cool.
I'm just messing with y'all.
I'm a
On
Shaq
that
Fu
note,
fan,
that's
but
a
come
joke.
on.
That was a joke, everybody. I'm joking.
On that note, thank you so much, Elaine Kramer, for supporting the channel. Let's get on to
Thanks,
the next
Elaine.
topic. There was a DC YA graphic novel that came out this week. wasn't able to actually read all of Nubia Real 1. I was able to get through some of the pages. The art was very bad. I did not like the dialogue. The story didn't seem to be all that great, but I did, kind of page through the rest of it. Just, typical stuff, I guess, that you would expect. I think there's some type of school shooting in there. There was also, she got arrested for no reason. I think there might have been a same-sex kiss along the way. Yeah.
That's why she got arrested.
Yeah. Along the way. So I wasn't able to finish it. I know, Joe, you finished it. What did you think about Nubia Real 1?
All right. So I did read it. And I'm going to preface this with, I see some of you people in the comments on some of these videos talking about, the title of this channel is Thinking Critical. You got to think critically. So I'm going to give you some real thoughts here because I'm thinking critically about this, and I hope you appreciate it.
Oh, God.
My first takeaway from this is it doesn't have enough to do with the DC continuity anyway. This book makes a lot more sense with just minor edits. You call it a real one. If you had this like that, it came out from like Fantagraphics or Drawn in Quarterly, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. No one would care. It would just be the people that like that kind of stuff would pick it up because honestly, the art, I don't mind the art in that context because it's a lot of that kind of like, Drawn in Quarterly, Fantagraphics, no brow.
Everybody looked insane.
Yeah, so like all that stuff, no one would care, But when it comes to something like this, yes, there was a lot of swearing. I noticed a lot more of other, cuss words throughout, but there's a lot of adult language. There's just a lot like. It's tough to articulate this
for a YA book.
Yes, it's tough to articulate exactly this. I'm not sure if I'm going to be super careful on it. Just work with me and listen because I'm trying to explain this in a way where I'm like, this is a tough thing to navigate here, but these issues don't make a lot of sense in the DC universe, in that the argument about like, more violent police and stuff like that doesn't work the same way in a world where Brainiac can invade and take over at any time. It doesn't work in a world filled with supervillains. Like the nuances to those sort of arguments are way different. So to me, and you might feel differently, other people are allowed to like this book. I don't care if people like this book. They're allowed to. It's not for me. Exactly. I'm not the target demographic, and I understand that. But it does feel almost like a disservice in that you're trying to address these issues in a way where it doesn't really fit here because it's like, okay, so like Nubia is dealing with these sort of problems, but her moms can get a hold of like Diana kind of whenever. If there's corruption within this police department, why didn't they call Diana and have her take out the bad cops? Why didn't Nubia's mom, who's spoilers, I know there's a lot of you waiting for, so mute this if you're concerned about spoilers, but one of the moms is an Amazon. Why isn't she cleaning up this town? Why isn't she weeding out the corruption in this town? And you're also undermining your argument. Like even if, let's say you're trying to talk about, race relations and tensions and stuff like that, your argument's kind of undermined when it seems like the cause of nearly everything is one white guy. it comes off like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not a race problem. It's a that one guy.
Yeah,
problem.
that guy's the problem. Just get rid of that guy.
You know, and there's tonal issues. Like, they're kind of like the tone of the book feels the same when Nubia is at a party, as well as when a cop is shooting someone at a protest, as well as when there's a shooting at a school. Like, the tone does, like, I didn't feel that kind of shift and like, oh, now we're getting serious and this and that. Like, there were a lot of those kind of issues with the book. You know, and again, if you read it and loved it, great. I don't care. You can. It's fine. But it very much doesn't fit, you know, especially, I think Perch had mentioned this in his video. It's like you're running Nubia in these future state books, in these backups, and then you're having Nubia have a bigger role in Wonder Woman after this. It's like, get your sort of IP in line, because this Nubia doesn't match this Nubia, and it's, you know, it's kind of like all over the place.
Well
So
said, sir.
Thank you.
That's your review of Nubia. Are you recommending it for parents and teenagers?
For that Fantagraphics crowd.
I would recommend it for if this is the kind of thing that you like. You know, this is more of a 20-somethings like Fantagraphics kind of crowd. Fantagraphics,
Gala.
no brow, first, second. You know, this like in that kind of indie sort of feel. If that's your thing, these like indie graphic novels, and you sort of align with what the book is talking about. This is not the kind of book that's going to win people over on certain things. This isn't like there are books, like, I personally like things, you know, that talk about these topics that are more based in like historical events or things that actually happened, like you know, John Lewis's March, Stand at Attica, which was written by Big Black before he passed away. You know, They Call Us Enemy, like that kind of stuff. I do enjoy that, but that's based on actual things. Like, March would be difficult to read if it was about John Lewis protesting against cops in a world where General Zod could march in with a Kryptonian prisoner army and take over the world. Like, that would be weird. You know, like, it's, I definitely think, like, if it's your thing, if you're in your 20s and you like it, I think that's kind of the demographic for something like this.
Has the outrage outweighed probably what the book's intention was, or the quality of the book? Do you think are people talking about it more than it probably warrants?
Oh yeah, no, people absolutely are. I'm less like, I know there are people who are offended by the book and all that, and it's like, on the one hand, it's like, I get it. On the other hand, why bother being offended about something that's not actually going to have like an impact on like the culture of comics? It's not. Well, this is going to like disappear in a few weeks. You know, right. I mean, the fact that Primer, which came out several months ago, was selling more copies than Nubia on Amazon at the height of Nubia's sales when it came out, shows that the market's already kind of like, this is what we want out of these YA books. And this will, like, you know, this, I think, you know, it'll run its course and kind of be pushed to the side, like almost every, like, let's be honest, almost all of these DC YA books, people talk about for 2 seconds and we move on, other than Primer and a couple of others like Raven and Beast Boy sell well, but that's kind of it.
I want to spoil everything for everybody. We are already reading young adult novels and comic books. We don't need a different version of it.
Sure.
Also, what really offends me about this book is that a Wonder Woman reader, a serious comic book reader, isn't going to read this. or I should say superhero comic book reader isn't going to read this. And this isn't going to create a future superhero reader except by accident.
You're absolutely right.
And I have a problem when I can't sell another comic book. There's 2 comic books I could think of that would be better or that you should get. You should get My Black Friend by Passamore. I can't remember his first name. And you should get Hot Comb, which is all about combing hair. Those are 2 good books that feel kind of like a little bit older than Nubia. And if you're looking for something edgy, that's how you should do it.
Well, I can't stand things that are like, let's blame this group. And so that's why I will never get behind a comic, graphic novel, trade paper. I don't care what it is, any medium that's like the comic type medium that's like, let's blame this group, because it's narrow-minded, it's ignorant, and it does not help elevate the hobby. It's just because it's just drives me nuts.
I do want to say,
or at least a small part of the hobby.
I do want to say thank you very much to Kenneth Dowling for supporting the channel. $20 super chat, very generous of you. I've heard of this Nubia book. The one thing I appreciate about this character that I want to see from Miles Morales is that she is establishing herself as her own hero, not being latched to Wonder Woman. I like your honest take, Joe.
Thank you.
What do you think about that?
No, it's good.
Obviously, she's going to be the queen of Themyscira.
Yeah.
In Frontier.
God.
No, but it's like these are kind of things that I think we've talked about, the sort of in the past of they made a lot of these kind of characters already, and then they act like they're brave for taking characters and dusting them off the shelf and putting them out again and being like, look at how inventive we are. And it's like, just why the spectacle? Just do a Nubia book. It's fine. Like, you're trying to, but then it's like, okay, so you're making like, there's all this rush to make IP while they still have IP off to the side they're not using. And it's like, it feels like, oh, we got to create like Yara Flor. And then it's like, oh, damn it. We have Nubia. All right, hold on. Let's get Nubia out and we're going to have Yara Flor. And oh my God, there's so many Wonder Women. What are we doing? Like, it feels like
Cassie
that.
Sandsmark and Donna Troy are just sitting there.
Like, what
did we do?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
When's it our turn?
Aside. I got to go back to Young Justice again.
Fine.
And
Cyborg got up to Justice League. Come on, man.
It feels like, and I think part of the underlying tension here with some fans are, I think a lot of us see the writing on the walls in that the lines are going to have to restrict a bit, and we're seeing that with DC already, and it's inevitable for Marvel. It's not if, it's when they're going to have to restrict a bit on, the amount of floppies they're putting out in the direct market. So a lot of us are sitting here looking at it, it's like you're throwing out new IP, but you're going to be printing less comics soon. And it's like, what are you guys doing?
Certainly feels like a rudderless ship for the most part. Thank you so much to Kenneth Dowling for chiming in on Nubia. Really appreciate you supporting the channel. Does anyone else have anything else to say about Nubia before we move on to the next topic?
No, but I just want to say this real quick. Kenneth Dowling, are you related to Stan Lee or something? Jeez Louise. Every time I come on,
he gave a secret to the book. Yeah, that's coming out.
What I want to say is, if you have not annihilated that like button for this video, what are you waiting for? Hit the thumbs up and let everyone know that we're having a great comic book conversation.
This is what you need to do. You need to like that smash button.
Make sweet love.
Like that smash. Okay, there we go. Also, if you're listening for the first time and you enjoy comic book conversation, news, and opinions, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's move on to the next topic. And we were talking a little bit about Marvel Comics there. Once again, Nick Spencer is teasing us with this one more day stuff. This week in Amazing Spider-Man 60, we finally get, Doctor Strange confronting Mephisto, wanting to know what's wrong with Peter Parker's soul. We also got Peter Parker expressing a lot of issues that he has with Harry. Why is there the conflict? But he was also like, I'm here. I have no marriage. I have no children. Basically, kind of talking about a lot of the fallout that happened within One More Day. Doc, you've been reading Spider-Man for a very long time. Are you enjoying the slow burn tease that Nick Spencer is doing with Amazing Spider-Man for a couple of years now, or would you like him to just crap or get off the pot?
I feel like he needs to start progressing this a little bit more. I was fine with the teasing for, I don't know, the first 30 or 40 issues of this. We're now at 60 issues. I watched your video the other day. It looks like, yeah, he'll probably try to spread it out until about issue 100. I think that's a mistake. I think he should by about issue 70. He should maybe do that, but I expect them to stretch it out until 100. I don't mind it terribly that he is kind of getting their piece incrementally. I just like it to happen at a little less glacial of a pace.
Definitely feels like it's an unfocused narrative where he does, Last Remains, does postmortem. He's going off this new story. Now he comes back and addresses, the kind of fallout from Last Remains again. In the next issue, he's going to be getting a new costume and stuff like that. What have you been thinking about that one, Joe? Do you like the way that he's sprinkling this in and kind of, as I put it, there's a carrot in front of my nose and I'm the donkey that keeps going along for it because I'm waiting for him to finally address One More Day.
I'd like it more if that wasn't like just what Marvel's doing with a bunch of things, because this is also the same problem with the X-Men line. It's like everything's just being teased out forever, and I don't appreciate that. I like, to me, what that feels like is they don't have enough ideas, so they need to ride it out as long as possible. There's way too much padding in general. There used to be, when you'd read a Spider-Man comic, like this one, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it enough, but the pacing of these comics now are, most of the issue is Peter talking in different headshots, and then we get a tease of what's to come. It used to be, way back when you used to read a Spider-Man comic, it was split between, Peter's can't pay the rent for Aunt May and, oh no, Electro's robbing a bank. So you'd at least get like some fun action, and you'd also deal with the drama in the issue. But the way these stories are so decompressed, you end up getting entire issues of just, the drama. Like there's no action in some of these, and it's like just,
and it being a twice monthly book just exacerbates the problem.
It does, yeah. And I mean, they've had twice monthly amazing, like when they used to do it in like the summer, and like Todd McFarlane was like doing it, and they managed to have drama as well as a fun fight with like the Lizard or something while some guy's stalking Mary Jane or whatever. It's like you got to do stuff like that. Sorry, Doc, I think you were about to say something.
Well, no, I mean you're making a good point. These books stopped. They went from being one and done issues to paced for the trade. Now they're paced for the omnibus. If not paced for the I don't know what the hell's bigger than an omnibus. They haven't invented it yet.
It's paced for the digital catalog.
Compendium.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't even invented something big enough that's going to be 100 issue slab of the tome.
Well, I've got so many customers that have just bailed on these series because they're like, it's like we've been teased for so long that I'm just, it's like, it's like that girlfriend, that just, you can kiss. You get kissing for like 2 to 3 years, and that's all you're getting is kissing, and it's like this is getting really old really fast.
I would be.
Oh, go for it.
Sorry,
no,
I was going to say I think I figured it out how we make a bigger omnibus is we make the book, it's still thick like an omnibus, but it's twice as long so you can fit 2 comic pages on every page.
Oh, no. Go 4. It's twice as wide and twice as tall. So you get 4 pages per page.
Like the Little Nemos. You get the really big one.
It's bigger than those IDW artist editions that you can't fit on any shelf that's ever been manufactured.
It's like those big hieroglyphic tablets that they found in the pyramids. It's paste for those.
Yeah,
but I'm just sick of people just cutting out on the books. I'm sick of it, because it's like, well, I'll come back when something happens. It's, oh God, okay.
Yeah, they're going for like the encyclopedia. It's the god that Oh well, I'm gonna just buy the 2020 Encyclopedia Britannica of Spider-Man. All 47 volumes. What the hell? Come on, guys, get to it.
That's like, are anybody here ever read Robert Jordan's books, The Wheel of Time?
My roommate has an entire shelf in our living room full of
There's
them.
like great books, but they're like 1,200 pages each. 1,100 pages each. There's 14 of them in that series. All right. And there's like 3 or 4 great things that happen in each one of those books. The rest of the time is like talking about how a girl's hair looks, or how this guy, how he polishes his boots and crap like that. And it's like, oh, come on, no, just get it over with. And there's like a whole bunch of other authors that are like that. They're so good about padding their crap, and it's like you're flip, and you're looking for stuff that's actually substance. And that's what comics have become.
Back in the day, there was a guy whose job it was to, edit these things down to a reasonable size.
Mm-hmm.
And
what do they call those again?
I don't know. I mean, it seems to be a lost art form.
It's a guy who edits.
Joe, you might know.
Yeah.
What is this position? I believe the comic industry has forgotten what it does.
Oh, geez. I'm going to have to Google that.
Okay.
But
we have to find somebody that's won awards, that can tell us about.
But, I get a plug an interview that Perch and I did with Glenn Greenberg that should be up soon. He was a Marvel editor in the 90s. And
that's it.
My God. Yes, that's the word.
That's the
he pointed out something that he just articulated it perfectly. He was talking about how all comics now are so like decompressed, and he's just like, Watchmen's pretty good. They managed to do that in 12 issues. Dark Knight Returns, oversized issues, but they did it in 4.
Yeah, 4.
You can do it. Does your story need that much more than Watchmen, than the Dark Knight Returns in a lot of these cases? Like,
Yeah, he used extra pages to tell the story within the same issue. They took full advantage of their entire book rather than stretching it. I always blame Bendis. It's his fault. It's Sorkin's fault.
It's fair, and like I will always say this though with Bendis, that he did get me into reading Marvel regularly at the time with Ultimate Spider-Man. That kind of Spider-Man at the time, I was younger. I was like that, and Runaways were like the things that really got me back into like, okay, I can do this. Because before then, it was just like getting the occasional comic and being like, I have no idea what the hell's going on. Like it was like Spider-Man Clone Saga stuff, and I was like, I can't. I'm out. But I came back a little bit later with like Ultimate Spider-Man. So like I'll always think of that Bendis. It's like, with like an X, and it's like you can still remember the good times.
But
so like I still remember Ultimate Spider-Man.
But that we should have known where the industry was headed whenever it took 6 issues for him to get a costume and call himself Spider-Man.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
When Amazing Fantasy...
I mean, that was a new and fresh thing back then.
I know.
So It's
now
really
it's
not something I
tedious.
think is horrible necessarily. It's just it's been so overused, and now we're at Nick Spencer doing it, and
Well, that
Scott
makes
Snyder
sense,
tries
though.
to well,
It made sense when Spider-Man did that because there weren't other costumed heroes running around. He's like, yo, how am I going to do this? How am I going to be able to fight crime and keep my identity? How am I going to be able to, you know, keep my family and friends from being targeted if I go out and stop these bad guys? You know, and that was, but once you already have the modus operandi out there and you've got, okay, I know how to do this, you know, we don't need to hear about it for a dozen issues once it's already, you know, once the secret is out, you know, of how to keep yourself getting known. You know, and that's just an example.
So, is there anyone else have any thoughts on Nick Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man One More Day kind of teasing? Feels like we are going to get that in probably issue 1 of.
One more day, more like 3 more
One more
years,
year.
right?
One more
year,
decade.
folks. We'll get to it. It's just he just keeps sprinkling. I think it's he probably thinks he's doing the Chris Claremont where you're sowing the seeds, but you pretty much addressed it. You had Last Remains, you didn't end the story, and we're just
he
going to
can
wait.
drag this out to 100, not 75. Oh God! Like 75 seems way too long.
If he thinks he's doing the Claremont thing, he doesn't understand what subplots are.
No, he's just trying to one up Tom King. That's all.
I think that's what he's doing because
No second base for you.
Yeah,
You know, but
I know how to string this relationship along.
I don't begrudge creators that want that paycheck. And you know what? If Marvel came up to him and were like, Nick, we'll sign you on for the storyline. How many issues is it going to be? And he was like, 100? And they were like, sure, we'll do that. Like, I don't blame him.
yeah. No, I mean I get that. Like, okay, like
Maybe
shit,
they
they
should
bought
go.
it?
Maybe when they're choosing their teams, they should say, "Hey, you know what? I've got 24 issues slotted for this book. What can you throw out there?"
Yeah.
And then go from there. You know, maybe if the guy or gal has, or whoever has a story that can go longer, they can throw that in afterwards. You know, start thinking about that while you're doing it here. And I think a whole shift has to happen with the way editorial approaches their creatives in a lot of these companies, especially Marvel, really. But they sell more comics, so what do I know?
Yeah.
Sell
All
more
right, Doc. This is going to be the last word on this one. In the end, will One More Day be wiped out by Nick Spencer?
I think so. I think that they will. I think that they'll wipe it out, but we'll probably have them it'll be the reverse, and he'll have to actually sacrifice Aunt May.
But he'll get his marriage back and all the things that went away.
Yeah.
So we'll get to know his secret identity.
His identity be out in the open too.
I doubt they'll do that, but
Oh, so it'll just be convenient how they figure it out.
yeah,
They do it. Okay.
yeah, they'll plot something.
I tell you what,
plot
you can
magic.
keep your secret identity if you kill your aunt off.
Yeah.
So I do want to say thank you very much to Kenneth Dowling. This thing with Spencer is the reason I quit Hickman's X-Men. They shouldn't be taking this long to tell stories. Doc, I'll let you chime in on that one. Obviously, you are an X-Men fan. You've been reading Hickman's X-Men. Is he taking too long to finish these stories? Obviously, we just got to the second issue of Children of the Vault, which was started a year ago.
Yes, he's taking a lot too long. We've had a year of meandering nonsense and a lot of, hell, there was issues where they printed the same fucking comic twice, 3 months apart.
They were very similar. I will give you that.
They were
Well, they
exactly
told
the same.
story.
Well, they
four
weren't
times.
exactly the same. I mean, it was told from a different perspective. I mean, it was the same art, though.
Yeah.
They did figure out a way to screw someone there. I
Yeah.
just don't know who it was getting screwed.
I just know that Lionel Francis Yu better have gotten residual checks.
I
for
wonder
those-
how that works, because I've never really experienced that quite that way before.
But to answer the question, yeah, he's taken way too goddamn long, and most of what they've addressed so far is like Z plots that nobody gave a shit about. So I would like to get to the, I don't know, any of the meat of this, of what he brought in House of X and Powers of X, because we've gotten none of it so far.
All right. Thank you very much to Kenneth Allen for supporting the channel. We've also got $5 Canadian from You Murder That Guy. What are your under the radar hot picks coming this spring? I picked Cherry Blackbird from Scout. I'm going with New Warriors from Marvel Comics. Joe, what's your hot pick?
Oh, this puts me like, how do I not say Beckstar?
Beckstar.
Yeah, Beckstar. It's got to be Beckstar.
And Ninja Dash.
Ninja Blast. Is that it?
Ninja Dash. I'm sorry, that will be the spin-off Uber
Ninja
service
Dash.
so that you can pick up food for people in ninja costumes.
Yeah, but
That's free, man, right there.
There's a bunch of stuff I know coming out from, like, Mad Cave Vault. Aftershock has some really solid books. Yeah, they what was it? Trying to think. AWA has some interesting things. Like, there's a lot of places to look for some under the radar stuff.
The AWA has their shared superhero universe that they've just launched. Image did as well. We shall see what comes from that one. Anyone else has some under the radar picks?
Children of the Atom.
That one's coming up very soon.
Spec on that, people. Spec on that.
Yep.
I'll have to look back into that a little bit more to You Murder That Guy. I haven't been looking at the independent solicitations as far as I have the big two, but thank you so much for supporting the channel. I appreciate that one. Now back onto the task at hand. Let's talk about the big topic that came up yesterday. We're getting a new Superman reboot in the DCEU. J.J. Abrams teaming up with Ta-Nehisi Coates for a new Superman. I know you talked about it on your channel, Fatal J. What are your thoughts on this new Superman take? Are you excited about this pairing as the creative duo behind the new Man of Steel?
Anything that J.J. Abrams attaches himself to turns to dog. And I will give you some examples
Is that
if you don't
gold?
believe me.
Gold?
No, sir.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood that right.
I'm gonna give you a few examples, and then you guys be the judge. Star Trek, he ruined. Star Wars, he ruined. Now he's making Superman a black guy. Now I know what you guys about to say. He's focusing on Calvin Harris. I know that, but
Maybe he is.
you're right. But shouldn't you introduce that in an already established Superman movie run? Should you introduce him that way instead of giving us a solo movie off the cuff?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking. See, this is, I don't want to be the guy that always say this, but this is that woke SJW type stuff that's going into Hollywood, man. And even though I know they have their eye on Michael B. Jordan to do this, and I know Michael B. Jordan would do an outstanding job as a black version of Superman, I still don't want it because y'all already know I'm a Snyder Cut fanboy, and I want to see Henry Cavill as Superman. Is that asking too much?
Ellis. I like Calvin Ellis as a character. Okay. I like the Earth 2 take on Superman.
So you're talking
That's
about
great.
President Superman?
Yeah, that's great. I have no problem with that. It's great. Black Superman, fine. Absolutely. I'm on board with that. That's Earth 2's take. That's, that's solid. That's great. They needed to work that in before just saying, this is Superman.
Yep.
And because all you're going to get out of this is everybody just, okay, turn it off. They're like, Hollywood's gone crazy again, and they have. So
I don't know. I think a lot of people will go, and if it's good, it's J.J. Abrams produced.
I've not heard anything but negativity on this. For the shop, it's like,
I don't know.
we'll not go see this. They're trying to slam us. They're trying to, shove us down our throats. And I'm
Remember
like,
that
God,
Academy Awards where, like, they were asking black viewers what they were going out and seeing and what should be nominated, and it was like all white girls, that movie. Everybody's like, oh, white girls, white girls. I think a lot of people would go see a Superman like that. It'd be crazy, crazy big. If people are going to movies.
Well, I feel like Yule and Pele, you guys are going to have very, very different clienteles in your store. One of you's in Tennessee and the other one's in Berkeley. I mean,
there you go.
Come on.
That's true. I mean,
And we need to address that Coates is a communist. So it's like,
Well, hold on. We already had Black Superman. We just had Idris Elba in Hobbs and Shaw. He even said, "I'm Black Superman."
It's different if you're not
That
wearing
movie was horrible. That movie was terrible, man.
Hey, shut up! I love that movie. I like all the Fast and Furious movies because they are D&D with race cars.
It's mindless fun. It's just, this is great.
It's Dungeons and Dragons with race cars where they level up every movie.
Well, you're going to definitely love the new Fast and Furious because they swinging cars from vines like Indiana Jones.
Yep.
So,
a lot of you here didn't go see Hancock in theaters, and it shows.
I know. And we had
I like Hancock. That was a good movie.
I saw it in theaters.
That was Black Superman. That was Black Superman. Yeah.
Wasn't it Steel Black Superman?
Huh?
Wasn't it Steel Black Superman?
The greatest superhero movie of all time. Yes, sir, it was.
Steel was steel. Okay? Steel was steel.
You put Shaq in body armor, you can't lose.
I preferred him as a wizard instead.
No, he was a genie, not a wizard, sir. He was
Same
a genie.
difference.
If you watch Kazam, you'll notice, watch closely. That kid is barely in any scenes with Shaq. They're all over the shoulder shots, and they're clearly body doubles and things. And you're like, this poor kid just got lunch with Shaq, and then they just filmed all the scenes with them together in a day, and then everything else is but in terms of this movie, I will say that there's obviously, we're going to get way more information later. Very few of these movies have one writer attached.
Mm-hmm.
Ta-Nehisi Coates is likely one of 2 or 3 other writers that are going to be
17.
on this movie.
He's writing 3 pages.
But they have to make sure to put the black writer out there first. That's what they do. That's their marketing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good marketing, man.
Yeah, but
that's the end thing, man. Fatal J, how's your channel doing?
How my channel doing?
Yeah, babe. Yeah, man.
All right. For those who like Fatal J's channel, he is very fond of something called the Snyder Cut. And Kenneth Dowling, thank you for supporting the channel. He kind of dives into that. For those who aren't happy about this, speaking about this new Superman reboot announcement, you should go in droves.
Yes.
And watch the Snyder Cut of Justice League. It was pressure from fans that we were getting this. You want Henry Cavill as Supes? Watch the Snyder Cut.
I'm gonna be honest
certainly
with
am
you,
not subscribing to that, but
I know
take her away.
You're a Snyder hater, I know, but this is my thing, and these are facts. Before you think Fatal J is making all this stuff up, Warner is pretty much split in half with people who are pro Zack Snyder and people who are not. Have you noticed we getting a ton of DC movie news right before the Zack Snyder movie comes out? This is not accidental.
I think they want everyone to know that the Snyder Cut is the end of his.
Yeah, they want it done. They done with the Snyderverse. They done with Zack Snyder, and that's why you're getting so much news of new Superman and new DC and Blue Beetle movie coming out and new Supergirl coming out. They I don't know what they have against Zack Snyder, but they don't want no more Snyderverse, you know. And I think they don't want any more Henry Cavill. I don't think Henry Cavill heart is even in Superman anymore.
He keeps coming out and saying stuff that makes you think that, though, right?
No, every time I watch an interview with him, they say, they'll give him a question is you going to be in Superman in the future? He'll be like, next question.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
he never. Boy, that means he must be in the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I hope so, but I don't think it's hard as any. Look, he was talking about being in Mass Effect yesterday, the video game Mass Effect. They turning that into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And of course he's in The Witcher.
Yep.
He has
Why
a lot
do
of
they
stuff
announce
lined
a
up.
Superman movie though when there's a new television program and
Yeah.
everybody's like talking positively about it? Basically,
That's what I'm saying, man.
But
They
hey.
trying to drown out the Snyder Cut with all this news and make the news viral so you can forget about the movie. There's no way people gonna forget about the movie, but that's their agenda. That's what they want.
But it's to drive people to HBO Max. That doesn't sound like a very smart thing.
You're right.
If the subscriptions go up and they have data that shows that the Snyder Cut is getting more people on HBO Max, there's a very good chance that anything about the Superman movie we're hearing now will suddenly turn into, we're getting Henry Cavill back, and
I agree.
We're giving you people more Henry Cavill. Like, that's just how these. It's
Yeah.
all very
And
mercenary.
Flashpoint is coming up soon. You can do whatever you want. Once you do the Flashpoint thing, you can reset everything.
As little as we know about the movie, but whatever the hell this is going to be, for all we know, it could have Cavill and Calvin. It could have Clark Kent and Calvin in the same movie and have a multiversal crossover in it. We don't know yet. There's
There could
absolutely
be 11
zero.
Supermen.
Yeah.
It could. They did that. They did that with the TV show. I mean, the Crisis on Infinite Earths remake was crap, but they did have a lot of crossover.
Yes,
in
it was.
So God's sakes, we don't know yet. So it's like, I can point out, I can poke little holes, in some of the stuff that they've had as far as the people writing it and the way it was presented, but we really don't know what the product is yet.
I'm just going to happily sit back and hope that and ignore all of this and just hope that the Lois or the Superman and Lois TV show stays as good as the first episode did, because I really enjoyed it.
So it's really good, huh? I need to watch it.
I very much enjoyed it. It was very classic, traditional Superman and very hopeful. And
So was Flash episode or season 1.
Yes, it was.
Yep. Did you like Did anybody here like Smallville?
I did
about
like
5
that.
seasons.
Yeah,
I did.
it's like it's
coincidental
basically
for me.
Smallville with better effects and better writing.
If before up until Lex left, that's when Smallville went to crap.
Yep.
But yeah, the first episode was really good. So I'm just going to pretend that none of the movie shit is happening.
Well, that's not good for the channel, Doc. So let's talk about the movie stuff. Obviously, in my opinion, what Ta-Nehisi Coates has done with Captain America, another aspirational hero in the Marvel universe, obviously he's the writer for that comic, kind of translates over to some concerns what he might do with Superman within the DCEU. But my larger concerns are more like what Fatal J was saying. It's with J.J. Abrams and the way that he's rebooted a lot of these franchises. Yes, is it going to look slick? Is it going to look cool? Absolutely. Are there going to be scenes within a J.J. Abrams Superman movie that remind you of Superman the movie, or maybe Superman 2? Absolutely. He's going to try and draw you in with nostalgia. But when you go and you see the final product, it will likely be missing the heart and soul, the hopeful universe aspects that what makes like Superman in the DCEU important, in my opinion. And I think that's my major concern with this, is actually with J.J. Abrams kind of steering the ship.
He kind of sucks the soul out of everything he gets in contact with. There's a reason why they call his company Bad Reboot.
And this is the thing, though. He can never end a franchise or a
I've
movie.
never heard that.
He never ends a movie or a franchise. He never ends them. And it sucks. And I agree, Robert. J.J. Abrams is a complete hack.
And I'll never forgive him for Lost.
That's what I'm saying. He never
Boom.
ends. He never ended Lost.
That was
That's
the question.
series that taught me to stop watching once I saw the inevitable, that it was never going to end in a good position. I do want to say thank you very much to Lane Kramer for supporting the channel with the super chat. Hey, I did this to Joe and Perch with their stream last night. If you could do a story in the Superman Red Blue anthology, 10 pages, what pitch would you do? Yul Carter, one time were an aspiring comic book writer. What would your Superman pitch be for a 10-page story?
Oh, I don't know. I'd probably take a look at the politics of the day and instill it in the story.
Just make it all about the election and everything.
Make
I
it
don't
age
know.
like milk.
I don't know. I'll do something about I don't know. It's to Joe. It's not to me. I'm a nothing. I'm just a comic store
Joe
guy.
already
Oh,
answered
you're
last
not nothing. Don't give us that.
I don't know. I'm the kind of guy that would have done the 1,000th issue of Action, and it would have been 1,000 pages long. I remember. I think I was listening to a video where you were talking about how you don't like the whole biblical aspect of Superman, and that's exactly where I'd go with it. So in 10 pages would probably be better than 1,000. So I'll
I
probably
don't
do
like
something
the fact that Superman would. I don't think he would ever celebrate the fact that people looked at him like he was a god.
Yeah, I don't disagree there, but when he's away, that's kind of how religion is somewhat formed. I'm not trying to be all crazy about that right now. I'm not trying to insult anybody. It's just, someone comes out and has this concept, and the farther we go down the line from, generationally, it becomes more solidified as fact. And then that's kind of how we would see Superman farther on down the line. This is probably, in future state, it just sounds like it's a few years later. Unless it's the linear verse, and then we know, again, he's very...
in 500 years.
Yeah. For just coming out, just finishing Future State, introducing the linear verse the next week kind of doesn't make sense. Is that 3,000 years from now?
It's just anything being dumped into this one little universe, I guess.
It doesn't. Not everything within the Omniverse is linearverse. You have to remember that part. Does anyone else have a Superman pitch that they can do in 10 pages? Because I have something that in my mind, my Superman story that would work for that.
Let me hear yours first, and then I'll give you mine.
All right, so Joe.
No, you go for it, Wes. I can wrap this up. So
obviously,
you
in Superman the movie, there's the point where Clark Kent arrives in the Fortress of Solitude. He puts the little crystal in, and he meets Jor-El for the first time, and he gets his initial message from Jor-El. And I always thought that was kind of hokey in there. But in my story, Jonathan Kent goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and he puts the crystal in, and there's an entire message from his father that's been waiting for him for when he took over the mantle of Superman. And my 10-page story would probably be Superman, Clark Kent's message to his son, which would be very different than the message Jor-El left for Kal-El. There you go.
That's all right. Yeah, mine is better. You ready?
Of course it's better. It's you, man. You're an actual writer.
Man, yeah, you're right. Now,
starts with Ninja Blast.
This is this how I would start off. I would have something happen to Superman and Batman. They've been gone for years. Not even the Justice League know where they're at. Lex Luthor and Joker, they team up to hunt for Superman and Batman, and they can't do it on their own, so they hire Deathstroke and Deadshot to hunt. But somehow Deadshot and Deathstroke fights each other throughout the whole thing, and then they team up and they find that Batman and Superman are actually dead.
What?
That's a great story. Yeah.
They're just dead.
I just made that up at the top of my head just now. Just
okay,
5
mine.
seconds ago.
Can I go now?
Well, I was
Is that
gonna.
okay?
I was gonna introduce mine.
You
Fine.
go for it.
I was just gonna call it City of Clark, where he bangs everybody.
I mean,
There you go. That's it.
Hey, Superman, he could do it all at once. City of Clark.
True. He's
Yeah, that
faster
would
than
end
a
up
speeding bullet.
Yep.
So,
That would end
but,
up like the what was the one with had with the Superman type analog that he was drunk all the time. Not Hitch, but
Hancock.
We were just
Hancock,
talking about
We
it.
were just talking about that.
I had it muted. I was away from the mic.
That's fine. But when I'm thinking of something like this, you're thinking 10 pages, and you want to tell a full, complete, and satisfying story in 10 pages. One idea I've had knocking around for something like this is you do it more like a little bit of like a horror thriller kind of story where Superman's in the Fortress of Solitude, the door is sealed, but something's gotten inside. and you really rev up the tension and stuff like that as he's trying to figure it out. You do a reveal that it was Hank Henshaw had like worked his way into the computer systems in the Fortress of Solitude. You have a confrontation with Cyborg, or the Cyborg, something like that, where it's like, okay, this is nice, it's a little different. It's still Superman. You still work in like an iconic villain. Like, do that 10 pages to people. You feel satisfied when you read something like that.
And I do want to say thank you to everyone for their pitches for this 10-page Superman story and Superman red, white, and blue, I think, or just red and blue. And thank you to Lane Kramer for supporting the channel. We've got another super chat. Kenneth Dowling, thank you so much. JJ is not a complete filmmaker. He idolizes Spielberg and Lucas, but his films lack substance. Wes, you were right when you said his work is hollow. JJ is the hollow version of Spielberg and Lucas.
Look, I idolize Lucas and Spielberg. But that don't mean I can make a movie. Sure.
Well, he could make a movie. It looks good. It's the characterization and the story that always.
Mr. West, tell me a J.J. Abrams movie that was absolutely good and a classic.
We never said good movie. We just said a
38 millimeter.
Yeah, anyone can make a movie. Like,
doesn't make it.
He technically makes competent films, kind of like Zack Snyder, but a little bit different. But they are hollow in every other way.
Damn. You notice the pause right there.
Damn. I want to see this fight. This is good. Fatal J, you might be in trouble though.
Throw some blows.
Well, Snyder has talent. Snyder actually has talent, though.
Yes, he does.
So, Abrams does not have talent.
Abrams has a talent. I mean, seriously.
Destroying franchises.
The Star Wars movies are fantastic. They sound good.
No.
His problem is he wants to write the movies, too.
Yes.
That's the thing. Him and his son can't write a Spider-Man. That's how it affects me. Let me let you know.
That was an interesting story. I'm surprised they actually ended that when they probably shouldn't have.
I always wanted to read that book. No, I just always wanted to read that book that J.J. Abrams' son wrote.
Oh no, it looks good.
No.
It's Shelley art is pretty good. The coloring's a little off, but
it is a funky book altogether. Yeah. Actually,
it fell
stay away from it.
It fell a little shy of selling a million copies, right?
Copies.
A little,
probably just a few. Yeah,
just a few. Just
not only is he not a complete filmmaker, he and his son are hack comic book writers.
That's right. Take that, Henry.
Yeah, if you add all of the issues together, he's probably about 400,000, 500,000 issues short.
The first one had to sell at least. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
First one likely did very well. I think by the last one, people had forgot that it was even coming out.
It was so late.
Well, yeah. I tell you, that Chip Kid, man, he can do. Who does less for comic books and probably gets like the most money? That's that guy.
Brian Michael Bendis?
No, Chip
Quesada?
Kid. That guy, he does so little. Like, there's going to be a Chip Kid cover, and it's just like red with a little dash of white on it. And that's it, man. Boom.
Oh, man.
There's your Chip Kid.
I got to hang out at Chip Kid's apartment once at a party. And he's got like this big binder of all these like original pages from All-Star Superman, since he was doing like covers for that. He's just showing off. He's got like cases of like the original like all these like original toy cars, like the Batmobile and stuff like that. His place is insane.
I bet.
I'm hanging out there with it was like Jim Salicrup, and we're just talking about like, oh my god, why does he have all this cool shit here?
Is he one of those people that has like his own art framed on his walls?
No, but it's all stuff he's associated with or worked with. Like he'll have pages from things. He definitely, what was it? I think he has. No, he does, because he showed, I forget which pages, but a couple of pages from, The Dark Knight Returns. Like he's got, stuff like that. It's nuts.
Those prices for those pages are crazy.
Yeah, I've got a I think it's one of the pre-production splash pages from Dark Knight Returns. I've got one of those.
Nice.
And that was back in the day though, before original art went insane.
Oh yeah.
So,
no.
But
it's,
now,
I do want to say
Crazy.
Thank you very much, Kenneth Dowling, for supporting the channel with the super chat. Evil Black Cat's got a good point here. Abrams versus Snyder, nostalgia and lens flares versus pretentiousness and dark filter.
Man, that's so yeah.
That was a
Two
real
sides
sucker
of the
punch.
coin.
We can add David Goyer in there too, which is just
Don't worry.
stuff at night in the
If you
rain
think
with no
that
lights
Fatal
on.
J isn't going to be leading the release of the Goyer cut movement once the Snyder cut comes out, you're out of your mind.
Aren't Goyer and Guggenheim are just like on lower levels of those guys, right?
Yeah.
Fatal J,
Yeah.
are you on the Goyer cut bandwagon yet?
Hold on, what the hell Goya came out with that needs a cut?
You read the Suicide Squad?
Anything he does.
Oh,
He's
you
the
talking about David?
producer on like everything.
You talking about
Yeah.
David Ayers? David Ayers.
I'm
Suicide
sorry,
Squad?
release the Ayers cut.
Yeah, I
Goyer
was like, what are you
Snyder
talking
for,
about?
Yeah, Goyer's
yeah.
just a writer, right?
No,
maybe not.
And I don't
I
want to
think-
sound like one of these people, but I really do have a good source with the somebody that's with Warner DC, and they said the David Ayer cut is indeed coming. It's coming. David Ayer Suicide Squad is coming.
Right.
It's coming.
But why would they do that when they're rebooting the franchise with James Gunn?
Because we live in a
Content.
society.
Content.
I
Because
like
more
that. That's the
content.
perfect answer because we live in a society. Period.
You know what? Because why the hell not? Why not?
Suicide Squad was awful. Do you want more of Enchantress doing this?
That was the point, though, because the movie was awful. Suicide Squad was bad. That was a bad movie.
We needed to
It
get
had
that
good moments
Fantastic
in a
Four
bad
cut,
movie.
right? What about FF? Didn't they screw that movie up with from the original director's perspective? Like
Oh,
they
yeah,
all
Josh-
fixed it out.
Josh Trank was all over Twitter about how everyone was really mean to him, and his original movie was so good, and it's all our faults.
Oh,
That's right, man. That's come on, let's get that out there.
First half of Fantastic Four by Josh Trank was fine.
I feel
The ending was
bad.
awful.
Oh.
And forced
Hey, what
it
else?
sucked.
Anyone else have anything to say about J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi coach Superman reboot?
Just the concern that, let's see, the other big things JJ's been involved with, being like Star Trek and Star Wars recently. Both first movies were basically rehash origins, and if I have to sit through another Superman origin movie, I'm
geez.
gonna lose it. Don't make me
You
do
don't-
that, please.
You're in your own home watching it. You can stand. You can get on your Peloton or whatever it is. You
go
can do all
pee,
that stuff
you
at
can,
the
like,
same time.
Yeah.
You could set your house
this
on
what I wa-
fire.
This is what I want to say real quick, real fast. J.J. Abrams, I've been reading about this for a long time. This news came out even last year. His heart was always on doing a Superman film, and I truly think he doesn't want Henry Cavill to be Superman. So I think this was always the plan, reading in between the lines of those past articles. He never wanted Henry Cavill.
So he
Because he
was
doesn't want
twisting his
somebody
mustache.
that's-
Was like, how can I get Cavill out of the Superman?
But see, it's not just Cavill is like the face of the Snyderverse or Zack Snyder. If they can remove him, if they can remove him and Ben Affleck, then they can keep it moving. I think they still want Aquaman because he did $1 billion. They want Wonder Woman because she's but everybody else can go.
Well, Gal is awesome. So that's why they
Wonder Woman 84 was trash though. You got that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but she's
Okay.
awesome. That
I
doesn't
just
change
wanna-
it.
She's Wonder Woman. I give her that. She's Wonder Woman, most definitely.
I just want to know how many different producer, runner, universe leads DC's gonna go through by the time they're all done, because they've already had Snyder, Whedon,
Yep.
Jeff Johns, now what? J.J. Abrams?
Now J.J. Abrams. Yep.
Okay, cool. Who's the next one? Because it's just a matter of time.
Because J.J. is not staying. You right.
Got to be Tom King, right?
Yeah, because like
Oh.
Well, Tom
Oh.
King's working on the New Gods movie. He's writing that.
it'll end up being Ava DuVernay.
I'll tell you who it might be if they pay him enough. It could be Nolan again, because Nolan was supposed to kick it off before Snyder.
Nolan only wants to do his own stuff.
The only reason Nolan even did the Dark Knight trilogy is because he had a crime trilogy he wanted to make, and they said, stick Batman in it and we'll do it. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. All right, moving along. Let's get to the next piece. We've got a upcoming biography called Stan Lee, True Believer, I believe the name of it. The portrayal of Stan in his long-standing feud, I guess, with Jack Kirby is not very kind. It's basically heavily sided on the Jack Kirby assumption that he was the creator behind almost all of the long-lasting Marvel characters that Stan got co-credit for. Doc, obviously, you are the X-Men historian, the Marvel aficionado. What did you think about this upcoming hit piece? Do you think Stan's getting a raw deal, or are you on Team Jack on this one?
Look, this book came from a guy. It's an expanded version of essentially a hit piece article that came out, I don't know, about 5-6 years ago for a outlet called Vulture.
Yes.
I mean, come on. The outlet is called Vulture. You should know by just the who published the original article that it's nothing but feeding on the flesh of the dead. So yeah, I think that this is a whole big steaming pile of horseshit, and the truth is absolutely right in the middle. Stan was he was the carnival barker. He was naturally gifted at that. He liked doing it. Jack didn't. In his own words, he said, "I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be the face." And I'm sorry, but it's like a musical group. Outside of bands like Tool, most bands, it doesn't matter whether or not the drummer or the guitarist writes all the songs. The guy that ends up as the face of the band, there's a reason why the singer is called the front man, because he's out in front. And that's what Stan's job was. Now, regardless of how talented that singer or that front man is, he's the one that gets the attention. He's the one that that becomes the face of the group, and he's the one that gets the most notoriety and the most fame and the most wealth out of it. Now, it doesn't matter how talented they are. That's just the way it works. And so Stan got that because he was the face. He was the guy out in front. Doesn't matter how much he did. I think that everybody that says he doesn't do shit is full of crap. And I think the ones that say he was the genius behind everything and everyone else was just a bunch of pencil monkeys, I think that's horseshit too. So
well, even claimed that he was the creator of Spider-Man instead of kind of Steve Ditko being the
look, everybody, they all played their role in the creation. Now, are there cases where Stan might have popped in like after pretty much everything was already designed? Yeah, sure. But for the most part, I'm going to lay money that it was at about a 50-50 split. They just bounced ideas off each other. Now, how much of whose ideas got used versus how much didn't, I don't know.
Doc, let's just keep it real. Stan was the last one to live, and that's why he was the most famous, period. Let's just keep it real.
He's also the one that stayed at Marvel.
He was also more famous. I don't know.
He had more charisma. I love Jack. Man, I love Kirby. I love Kirby.
Those cartoons were on air, and Stan Lee was introducing them. It wasn't Jack Kirby.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I don't think it would have sounded as good either.
When you get deep into the comic book world, Kirby is more famous than Stan Lee. But to the public, Stan Lee is more famous than Jack Kirby.
Dude, I had people coming in telling me that Stan Lee wrote Batman comics. And you know what? Stan Lee signed Batman comics.
Technically, he did.
Yeah.
Just imagine.
Don't give me that just imagine stuff.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was a little kid, I thought Stan Lee drew all the books.
Yeah, because it says Stan Lee presents at the beginning of every comic book.
And Stan Lee can't even draw. That's the funny thing about it.
Stan Lee,
he's not even an artist.
I take this whole story and hypothetically, I hate my family, and I talk smack about them. And I can't stand them, and I'll let everybody know. But if you tell me a story about my family sucking, I'm very upset. You know, I'm the one that's allowed to say it. And when I see hit pieces like this, or what I'm assuming is a hit piece, you better have your bona fides, or I'm going to be really upset with it. And
I want to
not only
point out
that,
something. I want to point out
Jack ain't
something
no
real quick.
saint.
I love Kirby to death. He is the genesis of all of these great runs and titles and everything like that. He did not have an outgoing personality. He kind of had the charisma of a sponge.
Mhm.
So when Stan Lee gets all this praise and everything like that, it's because he presented all this. He brought it out and pitched it, and he made it hype. He made it what it was in the public perception, and he deserves credit for that. And if Stan Lee had not been involved, it would have been a blip in history, and it would have been over.
Yeah.
You know what? I can give you that because it's somebody brought up Hancock, and remember in the movie Hancock was like just a slobby nasty guy until he met the guy that was a family man, and he was marketing Hancock and made Hancock bigger than what he was. Stan Lee was like that for the comic book world.
Yeah,
You was exactly right.
He was the carnival barker. He was the front man that ended up with all the attention because he was good at it. He made it appealing. He was outgoing. He was bombastic, and Jack was none of those things. Maybe behind the scenes he was, but he wasn't. You had one guy that was very comfortable with public speaking, and one guy that just that wanted to just sit at his drawing board and draw stuff, which is fine. But history is going to kind of sucks for those guys. No matter how talented they are, history ends up forgetting them. And it's not Stan's fault that the rest of society decided to make him the poster child for comic books.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter how much he's out there saying, oh, and all these people that don't want to come out and say hi.
Yeah.
I do want to say thank you to Kenneth Dowling for pointing out the irony. Stan Lee created Spider-Man, and the name of the magazine with the hit piece was a Spider-Man villain. And he was always meant to be.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for supporting the channel.
Kenny, thank you so much. But when you start learning about Kirby though and his work ethic, that guy was a madman that nobody else in comics can do today. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the only two guys that have ever come close to Jack's kind of output are John Romita Jr. during for a period of time, and maybe Mark Bagley.
Yeah, Mark Bagley. And that's one of my favorite Spider-Man artists too.
And that's one of Yule's favorites too. Yule loves Mark Bagley. So.
Yeah.
Have I ever said anything bad about him? I'm not a fan at all.
No, I know. You've mentioned in passing. You've been like, oh, he's not my favorite.
No, you don't like Mark Bagley? He had some.
No, we'll do that on a different show.
But
oh man.
So people who might be interested to hear what Abraham Reisman, the author of this book, he did do an interview on another YouTube channel, Graphic Policy. If people want to hear what he has to say about the book, it's a little over an hour. He did interview certain people. He did have a sit-down interview with Larry Lieber, Stan's brother, so you can get sort of his side of the story. I imagine, like almost everything, there's some sort of middle ground where, maybe the book's being pushed back a little too much, but also there's clearly liberties that were taken. So if you're interested in hearing what he has to say, that's up there. If you want to avoid this book, but you want to read more about Stan, Danny Fingeroth wrote a book a couple of years ago that he also interviewed Stan, later in his life, A Marvelous Life, The Amazing Story of Stan Lee. And if you're not really a prose guy and, you'd rather read a graphic novel interpretation, there's also Amazing, Fantastic, Incredible, a marvelous memoir, which is co-written. It's Stan Lee and Peter David with art by Colleen Doran. So if you really want to get your Stan fix, you can get that there. But, Roy Thomas brings up some incredible points. And, in that do refute things that, Abraham
There's a
Reisman
couple other
wrote.
things. You could Marvel Comics, The Untold Story. If
Yes.
you want a
Great
book.
Great book.
And then tomorrow's Roy Thomas and other guys. They do these Marvel in the decades, and it's a little bit more article and picture heavy.
Yeah.
So you can like pick a decade, and they'll attack Marvel that way. But
Yeah.
it's more of a it's not an indictment of anybody. At least the second one.
Also, there's the movie With Great Power, Stan Lee story.
What about the Howard Chaykin comic book, Hey Kids Comics?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's not Stan Lee only, and obviously these are more, I guess, allegories, or maybe not, just whatever. That might be a book you might check out if you want to know a little bit more about comic industry.
Yeah,
No,
I think a lot of these people that are pooping on Lee now after his death and everything like that, I just think it's cowardly. And they're trying to cash in some way, as the counterpoint to what what's been portrayed as Stan's life. And why wouldn't they just bring it out when he was alive so the man could defend himself? It's just,
also,
The article was written when he was alive.
Well, not only that,
but how far gone had he already gotten as far as his illness?
It was 2016, so he was pretty far along.
these books, whoever is going to know about them coming out, obviously excerpts are leaked so that people talk about it, so let's, you can judge it now if you want out there. That's how we do. You judge a book by its cover, right?
Yeah.
But it might just be like 2 pages for all we know.
Oh no, for sure. In the piece that Roy Thomas wrote, he does state like 95% of this biography is just, a biography.
Right.
I mean, it's like Stan was born, blah blah blah. His parents were so and so. He started work here. Like, it's that 5% that is what everyone's talking about and refuting.
Mm-hmm. I do want to say thank you very much to Dark Admiral March Hare for supporting the channel. Stan Lee was the face and voice of Marvel for generations. It takes more than one stone to make a foundation, but you remove one, it fails. And I think that's a good sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate that Stan didn't credit all along Jack as much as he should have been credited. It's also unfortunate that also Jack Kirby, after a while, was discrediting what Stan Lee did for the industry as well. They're both giants. They're both on the Mount Rushmore of comic books.
But that's the
comic
Marvel
industry
way.
would not be here like it is without them.
That's the Marvel way. Look, Jim Lee made Gambit. Rob Liefeld made Cable. We would never know that. We would never know that if we wasn't hardcore fans.
Oh, Liefeld talks about it a lot.
Well,
Of course, but I'm just saying there's a slew of our favorite characters that was made by artists, but we would never know that because that's the Marvel way.
Yeah.
well,
That's just how it
especially,
is.
yeah. Well, now it's because of that and Image getting big and guys leaving that Marvel doesn't really push creators in quite the same way that they used to.
Yeah.
Definitely not artists.
No.
Maybe it's probably the real reason why they'll start a guy on a book and then rotate them to, and I say guy, catch all, rotate to another title, and then ultimately covers and kind of like extinguish their career as they're going on to do something else later on. It just feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give these people too much pop, too much
They get
shine.
too big for the business.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you
kind of
very
where I
much,
think
sir.
that Kate's is going.
Thank you very much to Dark Admiral March Hare for supporting the channel. What were you saying, Pele?
I was just saying that's where I think where Kate's is going. They've put too many eggs into his basket that it's like, when he decides that to part ways, I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be it's going to be interesting.
They'll find another one the same way that when they did the same thing with Hickman before he left. They did the same thing with Remender before he left.
Yep.
They did the same thing with Bendis before he left. They did the same thing with Miller before he left. So this isn't anything new. I mean, they're doing the same thing with Jason Aaron right now. Now, granted, it is terrible because he sucks, but still.
All right, let's
Jason
get back
Aaron
on topic.
used to be
Does
so
anyone
good.
else have anything to say about the Stan Lee hit piece that's coming up and what Roy Thomas said to defend him?
No, I think Roy Thomas is spot on. That the truth is somewhere in the middle. That Stan had, he had his faults, and sometimes he was not the most self-aware person. But
I agree. Now let's get to one of our final topics. DC Future State ended this week. Obviously, it was their big foray. It's like a convergence style event. Turns out it's a little bit more than that. It looks like a lot of the mainline titles within Infinite Frontier, which kicks off next week, are going to be leading up to these events in Future State. Pele, what were your thoughts on Future State just as a whole, as an event? And did you think it was successful?
I think that aspects of it were successful, and I think that certain titles really did shine, and there's some real gems in there. But I think overall, though, there's a lot of crap to dig through to get to the gold, and I just Swamp Thing, absolutely amazing, best Swamp Thing, since Saga number 20. It's the best since then. But his run. But I think overall though I was underwhelmed. What everybody else think?
All right, you're a retailer. I was reading up from one retailer, and they said they bought a lot of issues into the next Batman #1. They said they were spot on. They were able to sell out. But when issue #2 came in, they bought a little bit less. There was an enormous drop-off. Did you see that in your store?
All right, so if a book had only 2 issues, there was a drop-off.
He was talking specifically about the next Batman,
yes,
which was the main title.
So there normally, and this is a 2-month event, there were 2 issues, but Batman had 4. So the second issue pretty much sold. I upped my order a bit because it sold out of #1. But 3 and 4 I still have extra copies of. Not so much, but some of those other monthly books, the hit from 1 to 2 was significant.
Yeah, I sold about half as many #2s as I did #1s, and then 3 and 4 just fell off a cliff. And I've still got probably half of my orders still.
Do you think that was due to the price, or do you think it was due to the quality?
Quality, no doubt. I think it was due to the story. It's just kind of okay, but it's not Bruce, and it's not it's what, at least here, that's what people are like. Oh, it's not Bruce Wayne.
So the sales for Dark Detective stayed steady.
Yeah, actually they did. I underordered on one, and it was pretty much banging all the way through. So
there you go. I don't know. What did you think about the prices, Yule Carter? Do you think the $6 and $8 cover prices? Obviously, they're experimenting with that. They've been doing a lot with these 80th anniversary comics, the overpriced stuff. Is that the way of the future for DC?
It sure seems that way. Miniseries and backup stories. I guess that would be fine. I guess $6.99 isn't really that big a deal. Gosh,
I had
sure
Screaming.
Feels like it.
I had Screaming, man. It's like, this is ridiculous.
I'd be interested to see how far they can keep that going, but Marvel pushes the envelope all the time, so at least you're getting extra stories. And if they pertain, I mean, I loved back in the day, and they were dollar giants. How quaint that it was only $1. And you would get Huntress. And you would get, some other characters, Batgirl in a Batman family book, or World's Finest and things like that.
Hey, Yul, didn't the 100-page Giants lead to the DC implosion, though?
I don't know if those were the things that led to them.
I think they were part of it.
Well, part of that implosion was a crazy amount of characters that they that they put out, and they expanded their line. And I think you have to really choose your battles and know when you're going to want to expand your line. You see comic companies that are, I love CrossGen. This is a perfect example. They started off with 4 books, and by the end of the year they had 7, 8, 10 titles, and they were continuing. And it's like, you can't glut the market with stuff that nobody knows. And
Right.
Future State was kind of that way, even though it's DC. These are a lot of, these are not characters I know necessarily. And after the first issue,
I do want to say one final thank you to Kenneth Dowling. He says, I agree with Pele about people coming for Stan later in years. Cowardly. Fatal J, I know about Kirby. I put respect on his name. Wes, thank you for allowing me to contribute to your channel. Peace, guys. I imagine that means that he is out. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks,
Kenneth
bro.
Dowling. We very much appreciate your contributions. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kenneth.
right,
Dan
sorry,
Mora did
Buell.
an excellent job. Oh, sorry, you was talking. Sorry.
No, I
you're
think I
done?
was done.
I just want to say
That was a wrap up.
I'm just gonna say Future State for me was absolute trash and garbage, but I did like the Dark Detective. I like Batman, and I know you guys hate it, but I love the Batman element where he's in survival mode and he has to use his brain to
Dark
keep it
Detective was
moving.
fine. What are you talking about?
Oh, I thought everybody hated that.
No,
Yeah,
it was
no.
good. We were all shocked at how good it was.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, never mind then.
They're all big Mariko Tamaki marks, though.
Yeah, I'm
Well, yeah.
oh,
yeah.
yeah.
They're
What are you
like-
talking about?
They're gonna go back and look at She-Hulk differently now.
Nope. How
Nope.
long Dan Mora been in comics though? He been in comics for a long time.
Absolutely.
That dude is dope, man.
Yeah,
He's
his art
good.
is terrific.
Yeah.
So, Joe, you were not, I don't think you were planning on buying in too much into Future State, but you went and read some of the books because you were going to be on the channel. Sounds
Yeah.
like you delved in a little bit more than you anticipated. What
Yeah.
were your thoughts, just as a wrap up? Was it a success in your mind, or is it something you want to revisit in the future?
I mean, this is the thing. I feel like this is probably going to be the overall consensus just in general, but it was more successful than I think people thought it was going to be. But that also doesn't mean it was this enormous success. So, again, Swamp Thing was great. I really liked Dark Detective more than I thought I was going to like it. There were a few other things that were decent. The Yara Flor Wonder Woman stuff, in that particular book, was good, or solid at least.
That floor was okay.
Yeah, the Flash stuff was awful. And I didn't like Immortal Wonder Woman, even though I know people working on that book and they're great people. Is nothing to do with them. I just didn't need to read Wonder Woman Dead Earth again, a few months after that, down to her inheriting Bruce's belt. It was like, did anyone read Dead Earth or communicate before
Apparently
doing this?
not.
Yeah, it was very, very bizarre. So there were hiccups. There were things that didn't gel. I know Perch has also mentioned this. I think Breen's mentioned this, but I am not excited about the Magistrate. It's I don't need another fascist police state story. And I think Breen also mentioned this too. I liked it more when it was, Boss Thorne in Jerry Conway's early 80s run, hijacking the city when he put a mayor in that he was manipulating and all of that. That was cool. I'm not I love a cyberpunk aesthetic and, all that kind of stuff. I'm a big Blade Runner fan, but I don't I don't need this Magistrate stuff. It's not doing it for me. I hope we don't have, that's not a legacy that we got to deal with for the next few years.
I hope so. I like the Magistrate. I do.
Right, there you
You're
go.
going to be happy. They're moving directly toward it. Mayor
You gotta
Nakano
start
is
picking
about to
up
be elected.
Batman.
As long as
in
it's Jay's happy, that's fine.
No, they're
well,
ripping
the
off.
reason
They're
why I like
ripping
the
off Marvel's
Magistrate-
Kingpin.
Sure.
But the reason why I like the Magistrate is, to me, it gives it a little bit more realism
Okay.
into Batman's villain. Because, come on, man. How real is Poison Ivy?
It's basically the storyline from RoboCop. How real can it be, Jay?
That's what made it cool.
Can't we just get President
love
Lex
RoboCop.
back?
Yeah.
Can't we just get President Lex back? I mean,
He was,
that would be better.
RoboCop wasn't a very realistic movie, Jay.
Man, I don't care, but
You
that's
said it was
exactly.
realistic. I'm saying Balderdash.
I said the villain was realistic, but look,
Yeah.
that's the feeling that I got reading that book was RoboCop, the feeling of that world. I
You need
love
to read
it.
Daredevil.
They ripped it off from that movie.
They
Then-
work for Dick Jones in RoboCop.
Then work.
That's true. That's true.
Then just go watch RoboCop, man.
The first RoboCop. The whole thing's like, I work for Dick Jones. Like, that whole bit. You call this a glitch?
With Red Foreman there and a giant bowl of cocaine.
He's so good
Sorry.
at that.
So, I don't know. Me personally, it was better than I anticipated. I'm not looking forward to them incorporating these aspects of Future State in the mainline story. But obviously, Mayor Nakano is about to happen in Gotham within the pages of Detective Comics before Future State. Obviously, they're moving towards that in Batman and Detective Comics. If you look at the solicits for Superman, he's going to Warworld. Clark Kent Superman is going to Warworld, in the near future. The stuff that happens in Teen Titans Academy is leading to that Teen Titans book. So I hope if you didn't like it, you're going to be disappointed because it feels like it's going to play a major part as far as the future. Obviously, we are getting the Yara 4 series as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I like this more when it was Images of Tomorrow from Image Comics, like back in their first year, and they jumped forward like 3 years, and then went like to do issue 25 of everybody's story, and then they came back and did like issue 7.
Thank you very much to Exploding Prinny for supporting the channel. DC got a lot of money out of me by way of Yara 4 variant covers, and you and other people. They certainly did that right, dude. I agree with you. What did you think about the character design of Yara 4, Jay? Is this going to get you in trouble with your wife?
Bootylicious.
Hold on, let me see what y'all talking about.
Yara
You
4.
haven't seen
Yara
Yara
4, man, the Brazilian Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah.
You just say Brazilian and Jay.
And Wes, that's the only expression that I can give right now. So I'm gonna do it again so y'all didn't see it. Yeah.
That. Should have made him large on that one.
I probably should have.
Make that the thumbnail when we're done.
I want
That's definitely.
I want to input one thing real quick, just a couple seconds here. You F with Bruce Wayne's Batman at your own peril if you're DC, because you will hurt your cash cow. I just want to put that out there. They fuck with him at their peril as far as the overall company is concerned, if they want to be continuing to sell books.
He's still the lead character in Batman and Detective Comics, and there's like 7 more comics featuring
I'm
Bruce
saying
Wayne.
they remove him from Batman, the main title Batman, and yeah, that will not work.
I think you're right. I mean, their creation is taken over them. The way it was Wolverine for Marvel for so many years until they killed that.
Yeah, they
And-
killed that by making him an Avenger.
Well, that helped, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that helped the Wolverine thing, and for me personally, it was even before that. But Batman never had the. I mean, I guess in the '90s it was that way, but before that, Batman was just one of the other characters that DC put out. Really,
And now he is DC.
he is
So it's
DC.
like-
That is it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like 10 comics.
Yeah, and any miniseries that comes out is at least sort of feeling out there on the Batman.
Yeah,
Hey,
Man,
Wait, what? Why don't we make Commissioner Gordon Batman in a mech suit again? Because that worked out so well the last time.
It was an adorable, like, bunny-looking mech suit. It was
Yep.
nice.
It was like an Appleseed,
Yeah.
Briareus or whatever that guy's name is.
I will be going more into this Future State wrap-up with Perch on the channel on Monday. We're going to do a full wrap-up like we do with all the big events. So we will be revisiting this in due time. But we are kind of getting up against the end of the time. I do want to just briefly mention, if you are a fan of Oblivion Song, the news came out that Oblivion Song is ending with issue 36. Do we have any fans of Oblivion Song that want to say anything about the run from Robert Kirkman?
I keep seeing that in my comic shop, but I'm scared to pick it up. Is it good?
Yeah,
It's fine.
It started out good.
I was at the press junket for when they were releasing this at New York Comic Con a few years ago, and I got to ask Robert Kirkman 2 questions. And the 2 questions I asked him is like Eric Stevenson's sitting next to him, and it's this whole thing they're making a big deal out of. I asked him, why do you hate Philadelphia? And what was it like being on Comedy Bang Bang with Scott Aukerman?
Okay,
And after I asked him that Scott Aukerman question, he just looks at me and goes, you could have asked me anything. I do The Walking Dead and all these other things, and you ask me about Scott Aukerman? It was a wonderful time. I really
feels really uncomfortable.
It's a memory that's stuck with me because it was just so wonderful.
Y'all looking forward to Invincible? And I'm not trying to get off track.
No, of course. That looks great.
I'm looking forward to selling Invincible trades. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I know why. I bet I know why Robert Kirkman hates Philadelphia.
Oh,
because everyone hates Philadelphia.
That's
You
fair.
throw batteries at Santa.
That's right.
All
But
right,
let us
Fatal
know
J,
we're old for bringing that up,
Yes,
by
sir.
the way.
We've mentioned Oblivion Song is ending. There's also going to be a video that goes more in depth on that after this at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Fatal J, you have a comic book that you're going to be producing and crowdfunding in the very near future. You have some information you want to give out about the comic book and also how people can get onto your mailing list, correct?
Yes, sir. I have a comic book coming out on the first week of March. It's called Ninja Blast, and you put me on the spot, sir, because I'm unprepared. But hold on,
Can I talk about my comic book, my crowdfunding project at the end of the show?
You exactly right, sir.
This
And I
is the end of
messed
the
up.
show.
You said it was called Ninja Stash? Is that what you said?
No,
That sounds good.
Ninja Dad.
Oh,
okay. Look, guys.
Ninja Dad.
Look, I got some stuff on the screen. Can you please share? Thank you so much. Yes, I have a comic book coming out on the first week of March called Ninja Blast. It's basically a ninja revenge story. The main character in the book, he finds out that his sensei is hiding a big secret from him, a murderous secret that will cause a bunch of mayhem, destruction, excellent art, excellent story. You're going to want to be on that ride when it lands on Indiegogo. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's going to drop March 1st, but it's definitely going to drop sometime in the first week of March. And here is some pages right here. This right here is a variant cover that will be made today. It will be colored and have the logo and all that good stuff. This is some stuff with the character, the main character, and the sidekick, that robot right there, he's like Dave Chappelle inside a robot's body. It's going to be a lot of comedy in this book. It's going to be a lot of killing. This is the sensei. This is the main character right here. This right here is a pin-up, and that's all I can show you right now. But this is going to be an explosive, great manga-style comic book, and you need to get on there and support independent comic book creators like myself, because I wouldn't put it on Indiegogo if I was rich. I'm a broke freaker, so please support somebody, okay?
All right, Jay, so
I
what's
love
your
Jay.
mailing list if people want to get on it?
Okay, I got the mailing list right here, and I'm going to put it in the chat for everybody. And everybody that signs up today, I am going to hook you up with a Ninja Blast sticker. Let me put it in the private chat.
yeah, put in the price.
Yeah,
Boom.
I'll post it to the.
Good job.
And everybody who supports, sign up to the email list and becomes a backer, Fatal J is going to give you a big, gigantic sticker inside your comic book when I mail it out to you. Thank you guys so much for letting me do a shameless plug. Thank you, Wes. Thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody.
Well, there you go. Well done, my friend. I'm sorry I put you on the spot. I thought we had somewhat coordinated that.
It was all Fatal J. Trust me. Everybody tells me that. My boss at work, he tells me I'm a failure. My wife, she tells me I'm a
I
failure.
did not say you were a failure. I did not say you were a failure.
Oh, God.
Okay. Okay.
Let's get another shameless plug in here while we're doing it. We've got another comic book that people can go to their comic shops and put in an order through with the diamond code. We got Beckstar. What do we need to know about Beckstar, Joe?
Well, I mean, do you really need to know more than I wrote it? But
Yes.
no, it's a fun time. It's really inspired by things like Cowboy Bebop, Blade Runner. It's I really pack a lot into every issue. I love denser comics where you get like a whole story and you feel like you got a nice story in each individual comic, and that's what I really strive for with this. Lorenzo, fantastic artist. This is his first big gig. I found him. He won a what was it? It was an anthology sort of contest, and his art was just fantastic. And we were able to reach out and work this out. Sweeney Boo did the covers. That's the Sweeney Boo image over there. I've worked with Sweeney Boo a couple of times before, so it was nice to work with her again. Joe McGill does an incredible job with the lettering. This book I really think looks unique, and if you like sci-fi, like that kind of Cowboy Bebop, Blade Runner-y kind of stuff, I do think you're gonna have a good time. There's a little bit of fantasy elements in there with some ancient artifacts. Don't want to spoil too much, but you go to different planets, and I really try to put the effort in to make sure you're getting unique environments in these different issues. I think if you check it out, you might like it. Who knows?
Well, there you go. If you have a chance, you go to your comic shop, you give them the code MAR211424. The comic will arrive in May, and you will not be disappointed. Beckstar from Mad Cave Studios with Joe Corallo. It's going to be great.
Thank you very much.
Looks good,
all right,
man.
So is that enough shameless plugging? Anybody else got something to plug?
Thank you.
Fantastic Comics on YouTube. That's it.
Absolutely. Fantastic Comics on YouTube.
And your intros, Yule, is like absolutely wonderful, sir.
I just steal stuff from the internet and put some little videos together to lead off the show, and then I have a song for my store. How many comic stores out there have their own theme song? I play it every Tuesday at 8.
It's true.
Hold on, so awesome. We do. I do want to say thank you to Jamie Andreasen, the biggest Shazam fan in the world. I wonder if he enjoyed Future State Shazam. I bet not, but he better be excited for Shazam because he'll be here on Wednesday. Happy belated birthday wishes, Wes. Here's a little something for your arriving son's comic book fun. Thank you very much. We're very excited. In June, I'm going to be a father of 3 boys. It's going to be great. Everything goes safely and smoothly for you and your wife. A great Saturday morning as always. And thank you. It's always made better when you're here, Jamie. Always see you in the chats. Always got great things to say. So thank you very much for supporting the channel. And yes, the family is about to get bigger. And I did have a birthday. I'm 1 year older. I think I wear 43 well, but
happy birthday to you.
All right, let's do the final part of the show. Let's talk about some comic book recommendations. All right, where are we going first? Jay, what are you recommending this week?
I'm telling you guys, it blew me away because I always just go through comics, but Deceased is a dope comic book, man.
Told you.
You're right. I was shocked. I was just blown away by the art. The art is amazing. The story is amazing. Deceased, pick it up.
F. Tom Taylor.
But read the comic book because
I love Deceased, but yeah, Tom Taylor sucks, but it's a good book.
It's a good book, man.
It's better than good book. It's an amazing book.
It's amazing.
Doc, what are you recommending this week?
I am recommending. I'm sort of recommending X-Men 18. I think it was 18 and Wolverine 10. I'm definitely recommending Maestro Warren Pax number.
You can't recommend everything, Doc. There's
can't do that.
Oh, Warren Pax number 2. It was really, really. I've been loving this Maestro. The first Maestro series, and now the second one from Peter David. It's just so much. It's just awesome. Go check it out. Especially if you love that old Future Imperfect era. It's great.
I agree with that one.
Can I recommend one more? Sorry about that.
No, done, sir.
No, you had
your time.
Okay, can I just say it, please?
No, you had your
No.
time.
Last Ronin.
You're finished. We're wrapping this up here. We're already at
Last
2
Ronin.
minutes,
Last
2
Ronin.
hours and 50
God,
minutes. Yes.
Last Ronin. That's all I want to say. Last Ronin.
Next up, we got Yule Carter. What are you recommending at Fantastic Comics this week?
U.S. Agent by Christopher Priest is pretty fun. And there's 2 Image comics that came out this week. Post Americana by Steve Scroce and Stray Dogs by Image Comics. That's a Tony Fleecs book. And I think he's done like My Little Pony and stuff like that. And it's a dog comic book. And who doesn't love that?
It's true. I love Tony Fleecs. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're next up then, Joe. What are you recommending?
All right, so kind of similar to what I did the last couple of recommendations. It's the last Saturday of Black History Month, and I wanted to throw a couple more lesser talked about creators out there. One is Malcolm Jones III. He unfortunately passed away from suicide in the mid '90s, but he was a prominent inker. He inked seminal works, including Dennis Cowan and Denny O'Neill's The Question, and Neil Gaiman's Sandman. That incredible stuff. If you're not familiar with his work, check it out. And also Billy Graham. He does not get talked about enough. He passed away maybe 20 years ago.
Superstar Billy Graham.
My grandmother liked
He's
him.
still kicking.
Not that
The Reverend?
Billy Graham. Not the Reverend. There is a comic
Not
artist.
the promoter.
Not the pro wrestler.
Not the pro wrestler, the comic artist. He was an inker and penciler, and he worked on the original Luke Cage Heroes for Hire, those first 16 issues. He inked and or penciled those, and he also worked on it was Jungle Action when Don McGregor was writing Black Panther. And again, this is a guy who was a black man who was an artist in comics in the 70s working on these sort of characters. A lot of people like to act like this is a brand new thing they decided to do in the past few years. It's not. And, I just want to make sure, people, check out some of these creators because they did really important work.
Thank you very much, Joe. Now, Piley, what are you recommending down at the shop?
Okay, first recommendation, Usagi Yojimbo, Wanderer's Road #4. That's been awesome series. I'm a huge Stan Sakai fan. The cover art is gorgeous. Not a big Peach Momoko fan, but I really like this cover. And the interior art is bomb. I'm a huge Usagi fan. It's the best. It's the best mini going right now in indies. And Chasing the Dragon #1 came out, and I've really been looking forward to this book. It's put out by Heavy Metal Magma Comics. Denton Tipton is the writer, and beautiful painted pages. This is fantastic. Dark fantasy. There's like dragon blood. There's a drug that's impregnated with dragon's blood, and everybody's getting high off of it, and it gives people powers, and it's just amazing story as far as the meld of the artwork and the storytelling.
It gives people powers.
I need to read that.
It gives people powers.
Okay.
But
It was on my list. It's
oh,
the
you're
only
being a
comic-
dick.
I
Oh,
thought you
shut
said
up, Doc. I didn't
Dave.
interrupt you during your recommendations.
It was the only comic on my list that I hadn't read.
Remind
yet.
me to interrupt Doc in his recommendations next week. Anyway, great book. Fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And that's it. Let's go.
Bam. So this was not the greatest week for new comics, but I will recommend Something is Killing the Children 15, as well as House of L. I do not like the compressed nature of House of L as far as future state, but the ideas that Phil Kenny Johnson introduced there are absolutely amazing, would be a great miniseries. Also, next week is absolutely enormous. We're getting Infinite Frontier Zero. We're getting the new DC titles with the new creative teams. Obviously, we're getting Batman and stuff back, I believe. But Berserker comes out next week. We got Noctera coming out. I believe Nonstop Spider-Man also debuts next week. Do not sleep on the next James Bond series, James Bond Agent of Spectre, with Christos Gage, one of the more underappreciated, underutilized writers in comic books. This is going to be the front man on that one. I'm worried that the people aren't going to even realize it's out there. So if you can keep $4 and hold it back, you might want to invest in that series as well.
Quick question: is Berserker going to be available to the public?
Yeah, on
It's
Wednesday.
playing. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
cool. 'Cause I
Yeah.
didn't do the crowdfunding.
Tell
You know, I
tell
wanted
the tell your store that Keanu sent you. They'll be happy about that.
So
I sure will.
had a wonderful discussion, wonderful panel today, and this should be the first Comics Aficionados available through multiple podcast networks. So hopefully this all goes well. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Thinking Critical YouTube channel. If you want to come and join us live and be a part of the discussion, come and check us out next week.
Hell
Bye-bye.
yeah.